This is Digivation Network.
In line with the strategic importance of addressing the needs of telecoms and information and communication technology (ICT), stakeholders and consumers in the era of coronavirus and post-COVID-19 pandemic digital economy period in Nigeria, the federal government has assured that it will continue to protect the interests of all the stakeholders in the sector of the economy. Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, stated this at a virtual forum with the theme, Meeting the Interests of Government, Consumers in Telecom and ICT Companies in the era of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 pandemic for digital economy development, organized by the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria, ATCON. Pantami emphasized the importance of this with a view to achieving the new broadband target of 70% penetration in the country.
I led a team of my colleagues to meet the leadership of Nigeria Governors Forum to address one, the issue of right-of-way charges. Secondly, multiple taxation. We had a very productive meeting, and we met the leadership of Nigeria Governors Forum through their chairman, my good friend, the governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. We had a very productive meeting with them where we discussed the benefits of broadband penetration in their various states. It's just beyond tax. When there is broadband penetration, it will automatically improve the economy of your indigents or our citizens. They used to spend almost 70% of their investment through right-of-way. So with that intervention, I believe it will go a long way in bringing down the cost of broadband penetration in the country, which I think is very important. He says almost 70%.
The minister disclosed that the government's interests are the same as consumers, and the regulatory authorities would continue to make concerted efforts at ensuring that the masses are protected, while measures are taken to address issues of reduction in the price of right-of-way for telecom and ICT firms, as well as tackle multiple taxation. The NIDA Director General Malam Kashifu Inoa Abdullahi, in his remarks, maintained that ICT will play a major role in the global effort at returning to the new normal, adding that COVID-19 has triggered an unprecedented paradigm shift in the way of life, and only ICT sector can accelerate the development of digital economy.
The issue of the right-of-way has been widely addressed, and the telco infrastructure has been categorized as critical national infrastructure. Broadband is just one of the many policies we are implementing at the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, to develop the digital economy. At NIDA, we focus on other initiatives that provide the skeleton and flesh of the digital economy. As you know, the broadband provides the backbone infrastructure for the digital economy to thrive.
The NIDA DG said new trends have stimulated a surge in demand for digital services and are putting tremendous pressure on the existing ICT and telco infrastructure. Therefore, there is need for government intervention and regulatory instruments to help the sector deliver better services and value.
The new trends have stimulated a surge in demand for digital services, and it is putting tremendous pressure on the existing ICT and telco infrastructure. Therefore, there is a need for government's intervention and regulatory instrument to help you, the sector players, come out of this pandemic stronger than you entered. When it comes to connectivity, Nigeria is a mobile-first market with almost 3/4 of about 100 million internet users consume digital services using smartphones. Having this in mind, broadband infrastructure is the most critical infrastructure we need as we are emerging from the pandemic.
Professor Umaru Dambata, Executive Vice Chairman, CEO of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, in his presentation disclosed that the Commission has been trying to solve the challenges confronting the members of ATCON and the industry in general. Dambata said the process was on to review Infraco framework on underutilization of submarine broadband.
We're trying to put measures in place to ensure we optimally utilize the capacity at the landing point of submarine cables in order to drive broadband penetration in the country to meet, among many others, the interest of government. In the area of quality of service, which the Honorable Minister, I'm delighted, has mentioned, we have monthly engagement with operators on quality of service. There is a quarterly industry working groups on quality of service and short codes, and there's a monitoring of the 2G key performance indicators, KPIs. This we normally do every month.
The president of ATCON, Olushola Teniola, said the objective of the forum is to identify various challenges the industry stakeholders are facing with the view of providing solutions to them.
Welcome everyone to this very important ATCON Secretarial Virtual Forum, which focuses on the need of telecom and ICT consumers in the era of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 pandemic, calm digital economy era, with a view to meeting the new broadband target of 70%, with a theme meeting the interests of governments, consumers, and telecom and ICT companies in the era of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 pandemic for digital economy development. Our objectives, and these are strategic, is that it's very important that this sectoral forum is to converge regulators' interests to ensure a competitive telecom market and fast-track development of the telecom and ICT industry, operators' interests, and an enabling environment for businesses and protection of investments in the sector. And of course, most importantly, the consumer's interests. That should be satisfied in terms of quality of service, affordability, access, and connectivity for the digital economy development.
We see ourselves as extremely important stakeholders in realizing the broadband plan. We're excited at the efforts that have been made so far in terms of things like critical national infrastructure protection, which would solve a lot of the challenges we face today, vandalization. There are a couple of things that we would look forward to government doing a lot, power sector reforms, excited about the Siemens deal. We want to see how that will improve our sector. The minister also talked about collaboration and the EVC as well with the central bank. I think you've alluded to it already, Teniola, in terms of foreign exchange for us to be able to procure much needed investments and equipments into the country.
So one of the things we need to do as an industry, working with the NCC, working with the minister, is to see how a large part of that fund, when it's fully available, goes towards the telecom sector. Because it's going to be very cheap funding, it's going to be long-term funding. In my opinion, the telecom and ICT sector should try to have nothing less than 30% of that 15 trillion fund available to our sector, because that will help us put the infrastructure needed that will eliminate and enable the subscribers get the benefit they desired, which is higher quality of service at a reduced price.
We're ready to actually provide very good services to meet the consumer's expectation. On our side, just like the minister is very focused on driving a lot of policies to help us achieve every mandate we have, is already working with us to ensure that quality of service is being addressed regarding satellite, the national satellite service, and is positioned in such a way that all the black spots in the country where the fiber operators and the terrestrial operators, the IHS, wherever they want to take their services to, and they're not there, if they want to back all their services, is working on positioning ICOMSAT right now to be able to back all services, and also the ISPs to work with any intervention agency that is ready to take service to the people.
Talking about right of way, it has been a recurring decimal. We have been talking about this issue for quite some time, and we thank God that we are getting the import of the right of way, and many governors have keyed in, and many others are going to key in too. So I cannot border that because of aborting that. Sorry, because the minister touched excessively on that. Now the broadband and the infrastructural facilities that we have been looking at, it is a thing that we have to sustain the usage of our infrastructures without being vandalized. Because when you have an enabling environment for business to thrive, then you are on top of situation.
As one of the critical areas, telecom operators were actually given a free ride. You can at least go out and attend to your infrastructures. So that shows how serious government is with our industry. And of course, the era itself actually ushered in the usefulness of broadband facilities, because most people cannot go out, and then we all rely on the kind of measure, the kind of infrastructure that we're using today to actually communicate. And that means those infrastructure cannot fail.
There is no way you can do it by yourself if you do not involve the existing educational institutions. A total rehaul of the current curriculum has to happen. Access to broadband to your institutions have to be one of the priorities. Access to broadband to existing estates has to be one of the priorities. If you don't do this, then it seems that we're having a haphazard implementation plan. Rwanda is now making mobile phones. Are there opportunities being given to businesses in order to start making mobile phones in Nigeria? So I have 2 minutes. There's so much we want to touch on. There's very little time, but these are some of the issues that I want to see us address. The Consumer Protection Forum for Consumer Rights.
The Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy will have to do more with NETDA to engage the states and local governments and try to create some stakeholders forum to discuss and try to help them understand why they need to adopt the digital economy policies and development. So because you find out that some states are in there and some states don't even know what you're talking. When you get to do some presentations on reasons why they should get involved, they don't know. So I would expect that government to government engagement, creating some team, moving around the states to do some enlightenment and create some forum talking to the states, just to give a clear understanding to some of these states on why they should adopt and key into the policy. That will help to reduce all the friction we have on the right of way issues and others.
I'm an optimist that this is now our opportunity to drive even further in contribution to GDP from 14% directly to 20%. And although oil, 80% or so of GDP contributes, impacts about 60% of the economy, which is what the Bureau of Statistics says. I actually think that our industry affects at least 90% of the economy.
A lot of businesses are beginning to understand the importance of getting more digital and getting online. And what that means automatically is that more businesses are creating content on the web. And so naturally what that means that there's going to be much more consumption of data. And I think that the biggest question for everybody here is where would that content, the increased content, where is it going to be hosted? Because at least if we're using statistics and the details that we have from past, we see that majority of content hosted by Nigerian businesses are hosted outside the country. And so what that means is, of course, even when people are browsing those contents, there's going to be a lot of transfer of data across the sea. And I think that one of the things that will be really great is if we get to that point where we can get Nigerian businesses hosting their content locally, using local TLDs to help boost the economy and also help boost local infrastructure providers as well.
For the benefit of the local players here, warehousing and hosting data locally is an extremely important, critical subject that, we think that, we have the resources. There's a lot of resource and a lot of capacity here locally in order for data to be warehoused and co-located here in Nigeria rather than it being taken outside. There's also a security risk that is involved, and in terms of just making sure that the territory right now, the general mood across the world right now is more protectionist.
So much has been said, and I would say some things have been achieved on the concept of or issues around right of way. We already see some governors already saying that, look, you can even take it as zero. But more importantly is the pronouncement by even the other state governors. We need to have that done. But the other thing I also want to mention now is that how do we address the subject of affordability? Now, affordability and quality of service are two things that we need to weigh at the same time. When we're talking about affordability, we also need to talk about the costs. What exactly is it costing the providers to deliver these services at the highest quality level?
What are the developments? What is the strategy put in place to develop local content? Because the exchange rate is so high, it's fluctuating and all that. And it's affecting your cost of equipment and all that. Is there any plan in place that will help address all these things from the government angle by developing local content or empowering local company or company who are operating within the Nigerian space to develop all these things?
Deployment of infrastructure is about the size of your investment, the access to capital, and the cost of that capital. It's about the ease of doing business. It's about protection of capital. So I think this is where our regulatory bodies should still help push the CNI to its logical conclusion, because those are things that bother people who want to invest in this country.
This is Digivation Network.